Most of the time before I go watch a film, I usually watch some type of teaser trailer or read a synopsis on the film, and then I go into the film and decide for myself if I'm going to like a film. In this case, Nefarious, a horror thriller film, I didn't watch anything on this film. Did it really pay off? Find out next. On the day of his scheduled execution, a convicted serial killer gets a psychiatric evaluation during which he claims he is a demon, and further claims that before their time is over, the psychiatrist will commit 3 murders of his own. The film stars Sean Patrick Flanery and Jordan Belfi, and was directed by Chuck Konzelman and Cary Solomon, and they've done films like God's Not Dead, God's Not Dead 2, and Unplanned. Nefarious is the most blindest that I've gone into a film this year. I only saw the poster for this film and I was like, oh, this screams horror. I definitely will probably like a film like this because I really like horror films. Any horror film I'm game to see and actually check out in a theater, so this was no different of a situation. So the plot here is very simple. You have a psychiatrist who is interviewing this convicted killer who has obviously killed many people, and he is basically deciding if he is sane to actually get the death penalty by electric chair. The film has a very Christian-ish kind of message, and it also says that God is real and demons are real as well. The small tension of this movie is really just figuring out if this prisoner is actually mentally ill or if he is actually possessed by the demon. And after about 45 minutes, the psychiatrist, he actually goes out of this room and he asks, are you going to convict him? And he's like, well, I don't know. I'm not really sure what I want to do. So then he goes back into the room and we go back to the conversation between these two individuals. And then the movie shifts and it gets really political. Now, I don't really talk about a lot of political stuff on this channel. I'm not really big on that word woke and all that stuff. But this definitely had some political stuff that I really don't think needed to even be included in this movie. Mainly because if this is supposed to be a horror movie, why do we need this kind of things? So then when he goes back into this room, we hear political stuff about the school system failing. We get to hear about anti-gun, atheists are wrong. A lot of preachy stuff that really didn't need to be needed in the film. And we have a long conversation about these particular topics, which really kind of made me irritated because that was not what I was really looking for with a movie like this. I was just looking for a solid enough movie that would at least have some type of scary kind of moments, but there is nothing scary in this. This film is just these two characters filled with the most smallest of tensions. I found the film to be very anticlimactic in the finale, and I also felt that the motivations of the demon weren't very clear. It seemed like this movie was trying to push a lot of world views rather than actually have too much of a story. And there's another scene in here where the demon apparently has this book where he knows a lot of stuff about the psychiatrist. For instance, he knows that the girlfriend of the psychiatrist, she's getting an abortion. And of course, this film is very anti-abortion and it pushes that narrative in certain conversations of the film. I just felt like this film, it seemed like it was trying to trick the audience into thinking that this was a horror film when really it was trying to throw a lot of propaganda at the audience and really didn't have really clear, I would say, intentions to really make a film that really stood out. The performance of the inmate I found to be very inconsistent. He'll be squinting, blinking, stuttering, acting scared, crying, and then he can talk fine again. And I don't know if that had anything to do with the fact that we were deciding if he was a demon or if he was completely sane, but I just found that in these parts he was overacting in certain actual parts of the movie. And overall for me, this was just a very slow, meandering movie that I really just can't recommend because I was completely bored during this film. As far as a score for this film, I would give it a 1 out of 5. It just didn't really do a whole lot for me. I would say this is definitely going to be on the worst list by the end of the year, and I can't recommend this movie. But it's really funny too because the actual ratings for this movie, they're really all over the place. It's very split. So, for instance, on Facebook, a lot of the stuff that I've seen where people have talked about this movie, they absolutely love it. And I don't know if it's because those are the people that are more on the religious side, so they really understood what was going on. But then you go on Letterboxd, and people absolutely hate this movie. They're giving it half stars, 1 stars, not really too good of ratings, I would say. So it's very interesting to see the different perspectives of this movie and who likes this movie and who doesn't. But let me know in the comments, have you heard of this movie? Are you going to check it out? If you have checked it out, I would really like to know. What did you think about this movie? Did you like it? Did you hate it? Was it just kind of meh? And do you agree with me that this film, it did get a little bit too much in the propaganda? I really definitely think that they overdid it with this film. But thank you guys for watching this review, and I will see you guys on my next review.